Peace to the gods, peace to the gods. Yusef L here. Let me get a mic check. Microphone check. Microphone check, microphone check. Give me a mic check, mic check, mic check. All right. Microphone check. How's everybody doing today? Peace, peace, peace to the gods, peace to the gods. Yusef L here. Morning, morning, morning. All territory. Peace, how are you? Yep, I might be open to be hired for some work. I don't know right now. Peace, peace, peace. How everybody doing today? Today we're going to talk about God. Yes, we're going to talk about God. It's Sunday. It is Sunday. And I want to talk about get into a discussion because this is very, very significant in understanding sovereignty and understanding who you are. You can't leave God, the private side and all this. God, who and what is God? You know, is there a God? What is God? What is your concept of God? You know, I was talking to my mother yesterday. We were having a discussion, and she's a Jehovah's Witness. And, we talk to them, they got that New World's Translation. It's been translated in a certain way. When I was growing up, I used to hear people always say that, they like, well, the New World Translation, y'all got your own translation of the Bible. I'm like, what are you talking about? Now that I've done such a comparative religious study, I'm older, I've studied languages and all that, I'm looking at it like, man, what have y'all done with this book? It was really interesting. They took any references to wisdom being a she have been removed, and Luke 17:21 has been changed. It's all kind of stuff, And Charles Taze Russell, by the way, he was the creator of the Jehovah's Witnesses. He was a 33-degree Mason. He was born, he's buried right now. There's a pyramid at his grave site, and then Joseph Rutherford came in afterwards and took over Judge Rutherford. And I know all this stuff, and they know all of it too. Prediction of all these kind of things. But we were just having a discussion, and, it just wasn't like, just like, I know we know we have the truth, and all these other people are pagans and things of that nature. And so it kind of, I kind of wanted to open my conversation today and talking about that and have an intelligent conversation about this particular subject. And my view on God and my view on religion, universal laws, universal principles, ancient history, and things of that nature. But I think that we cannot have a discussion on any of those things until we get the proper conceptualization of who and what God is. Who and what God is. Now, I know we got a lot of it was really interesting, because I'm sitting here and I was researching the Jews, and I came across this video where this Jewish individual, he was talking about people are looking at the Jews as evil. They are looked at as evil because they are the ones that are destroying all of the pagan religions, because they have the one and only true religion, and they are destroying all these false concepts about God and these false concepts about spirituality. And I thought that was an interesting take as well. Self-righteous, to say the least, but it was an interesting take. Me, myself, And look at this right here. God is a low-level demon and not the source of all creation. The moment I read that, I'm jealous. God sounded like an emotional bitch. Not at all. That's because you don't understand what was being said right there. You know, the word there is Elohim, and Elohim has been anthropomorphized and giving you a different concept about God, about this jealousy and all these things. What is this right here? Let's all put stop. Interesting. But so we're going to talk about God today. So the first thing I want to get in, I want to talk about the word God, where the word God came from, because that is a word that is being used very heavily, you know, by a lot of people, is this word God, you know. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to start there. We're going to start with, what is this word that you have used? This word God. All right, definition, meaning, let me get it in here. Let me see if they got it in here. Yeah, let's get it from here. Okay, let's go to Wikipedia. I think they got a good, let's start right here. All right. It says, all right, right here, in monotheistic thought, God is usually viewed as the supreme being, creator, and principal object of faith. God is usually conceived as being omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. I want y'all to key in on that, especially the omnipresent part, because that's going to get into my discussion. That's going to be the title of this video, is the all, which is just another name for God. Omni means all. So it's all knowing, all powerful, and all present. And omnibenevolent, as well as having an eternal and necessary existence. God is most often held to be incorporeal, with said characteristics being related to conceptions of transcendence or immanence. Some religions describe God without reference to gender, while others use terminology that is gender specific and gender biased. God has been conceived as either personal or impersonal. In theism, God is the creator and sustainer of the universe, while in deism, God is the creator but not the sustainer of the universe. And that's what a lot of your founding fathers were. They were deists. Some people will try to deny that fact, but Masons are essentially deists, and I understand why. We'll get into some discussion about that. God is the creator but not the sustainer of the universe. In pantheism, God is the universe itself, while in panentheism, the universe is part but not the whole of God. Atheism is an absence of belief in any God or deity, while agnosticism is the belief that the existence of God is unknown or unknowable. God has also been conceived as the source of all moral obligation and the greatest conceivable existence. Many notable theologians and philosophers have developed arguments for and against the existence of God. God is referred to by different names depending on the language and cultural tradition, with titles sometimes used referring to God's attributes. Down here at the bottom, it goes etymology and usage. The earliest written form of the Germanic word God comes from the 6th century Christian Codex Argenteus. The English word itself is derived from the Proto-Germanic Gudon. The reconstructed Proto-Indo-European form of Gutum was likely based on the root gua, which meant either to call or to invoke. Germanic words for God were originally neuter, applying to both genders. But during the process of Christianization of the Germanic peoples from their indigenous Germanic paganism, the words became a masculine synthetic form. In the English language, capitalization is used when the word is used as a proper noun. I want y'all to remember that, because in the Semitic languages, there are no capital letters. You know, you have a lot of people who use that big G, little g. You know, and that's because they're so myopic in their understanding of language and so forth. They don't understand that the Bible wasn't written in English, and in the Semitic languages, there are no capital letters, that is a creation in English. That they try to make a distinction between the word Elohim when it's referring to the creator of the balanced universe, and the word Elohim when it's referring to us, when there is no distinct difference in the languages. And I'm going to get into showing you that. Consequently, the capitalized form of God is not used for multiple gods or when used to refer to the generic idea of a deity. The English word God and its counterparts in other languages are normally used for any and all conceptions, and in spite of significant differences between religions, the term remains an English translation common to all. El is God in Hebrew, but in Judaism, God is also given a proper name. The Tetragrammaton, Yahav Wahav, in origin possibly the name of an Edomite or a Midianite deity, Yahweh. In many English translations of the Bible, when the word Lord is in all capitals, it signifies the word represents the Tetragrammaton. In Judaism, some of the Hebrew titles of God are considered holy names. Allah is the Arabic term with no plural used by Muslims. There is a feminine though, Allat, that is spoken of. Okay, and it goes on, used by Muslims and Arabic-speaking Christians and Jews, meaning the God, while Ilah, or plural Allah, is the term used for a deity or a god in general. Muslims also use a multitude of other titles for God. In Hinduism, Brahman, it is often considered a monotheistic concept of God. I'm going to stop right there, and I'm going to come back, and I just kind of wanted to just warm the pot a little bit and just get into a discussion, and I want to bring people's attention to this word God. It only started being used around the 6th century. You know, you got different words that are used for God in the Old Testament. You have the word Elohim, which is a plural. When you add a yod and a meme, and some people will try to say that means the pluralistic attributes of God. You know, you have the 99 attributes of Allah in the Quran and different things like that. And then, of course, you have, like in Matthew 27:46, Ila lema sabachthani, which is the Aramaic rendition of God. Like, you know, my man made the movie, The Book of Eli, which is the book of God. Eli means God. El means God. Elohim is used as God. Allah is used as God. All these are different dialects of the same word. It's not my point in bringing this all to your attention. But in English, you say God. Next, we have a story that was in the Old Testament of this God walking in the garden. And remember, God is supposed to be all-knowing, all-present, and all-knowing, all-present, and all-powerful. The all in all. You know, you can't take away from the all, because where would you put it? You can't add to the all, because where would you get it from? All right, so this being, we can't even conceive it, because you are a finite being, and I love how it says in this Quran Circle 7, the finite cannot circumscribe the infinite. So really, to argue about this is really kind of ridiculous, because you being a finite being trying to conceptualize the creator of something that has always existed and trying to conceptualize at what point did God decide to make creation if he's always existed, you know, it just combabbles the mind. But people will still try to make arguments about it, create wars, and try to tell you how wrong you are about something. It's really, really interesting how human beings think. Now, what I like the thing that I have an affinity for is I have an affinity for the Kabbalion and their explanation of God, utilizing what we were just talking about, or the 4 attributes of God, which are he is all-knowing, all-present, and all-powerful. So he's called the all. So a lot of philosophers, especially in the secret societies and so forth, they make this reference to God as the all. Okay, the all. You cannot add to the all, because where would you get it from? You cannot take away from the all, because where would you put it? There is no force outside of God that can work on God. So God, being the ultimate source of all that is changeless, because there's no force outside of God that can work change on God. So it's in this document that we're about to read, God is referred to as the substantive reality. All right. And you will also find in other religions, they will use the word Maya as an illusion. I think in Buddhism, they'll use it as an illusion, meaning that Maya means that because things are in a constant state of flux and everything is subject to change, nothing is real. It's paradoxical because you have to deal with it, but it's not real because it's changing. And the only thing real is the source. So that's why God is the source of law, because law means something stable, and the only real law is something that doesn't change. So God is the ultimate authority of law. So that means we have to look at natural laws. I hope I'm not confusing anybody. All right. Y'all not getting confused on what I'm saying. All right. So God is the source of all laws, but let's look in the Kabbalion. real quick, and we're going to do a reading first, and then we're going to get into some intellectual discussion about the concept of God, okay? Not like what you see on these platforms and religious platforms where they read from the Bible and they talk about some being walking in the garden and he saw Adam and Eve, and then there's talking snakes that nobody questions. All right. And then trying to say they got to crawl on their belly. Well, don't snakes already crawl on their belly? And then we got pictures of snakes walking on 2 legs. And then we get into a discussion about reptilians and talking about the Anunnaki and what was really being said from the 7 tablets of creation and the Anu, and what was really going on in the Garden of Eden. Was it an experiment that was actually happening in Eden, as it says in the Sumerian tablets? And then these Elohim, or these Anunnaki, they clothed man with their DNA, took a portion of their DNA and put it onto us. And this is why it is talked about in Genesis 6:2, that the gods and the sons of God saw the daughters of man and saw that they were fair and started having sex with them. And that was the creation of demigods and mythology and things like that. We can get into that discussion. We can get into that. I'm very versed on that discussion too. We can have a discussion about that. But today, we're going to just be talking about a concept, okay? And the reason that we need to know this concept is because this gets into manifestation. The whole key of everything that I'm going to be talking about is basically for you to come into a realization of the power that resides in you and the relationship that you have with the universe and what your true capabilities are and why you have these capabilities. But we got to start first with this concept of God, because if you keep viewing God as some being, mysterious being out in the clouds, you're disempowering yourself, because now they can control the concept of God and make God into whatever form they want it to be. Your concepts that you have been given to you. God is some white man with billowing white robes, walking barefoot in a cloud with a long white beard, looking down on all of men and arbitrarily and capriciously deciding on who he's going to bless based off the fact that you then did what he told you to do. Even though you were given a free will, all right? You got to do what I tell you to do. If you don't, you're going to burn in hell. Everything that you did for this 70, 80 years or 55 years or 45 years on the planet, if you don't do the right thing within that small amount of time, you're going to burn in hell forever. Now, these concepts don't make sense when you really kind of get into it. It doesn't make sense also that you would only have this short amount of time in existence, because now we got to get into a discussion about, is there life after death? Does the conscious mind, okay, go over into the other area, into whatever the spiritual world, this other dimension or whatever, at the point when the physical body ceases to exist? Does existence itself cease? You know, the Jehovah's Witnesses teach that that when you die, you're in the grave and there is no consciousness, and you're resurrected into eternal life. And then we have some people who say, well, when you die, you go to heaven and you live forever. And you go before pearly white gates, and there's a man waiting at the gate, and he's going to usher you in, and so forth. And I've even read where a lot of those concepts are true based off of your understanding the vibrational frequency that you have. At the point of death, you will be on a vibrational frequency similar to people who share your beliefs. So that would mean everybody's belief is correct, if that is correct, your concept that you have. But energy is forever, that is correct, but it does change form. Does that mean that even though that energy does change, it can change form though? Is your conscious mind, which is energy, does that maintain its continuity, or does it break up and go into another form? You know, did you exist before? Is the key to immortality simply the fact that you don't remember? Is it the ability just to remember? Because how you don't remember, most of you don't even remember when you were 1 or 2 years old. So is this the veil that they are referring to when, you know, we got to pierce through this veil? We can look into past lives. If we can see through this veil, is there a veil that's blocking our sight into our past lives? Thus, we only think that we only exist in this time and space because we've forgotten who we are? Is it just... Think about it. If you got hit over the head and I took all your memory away, would you still be the same person that you were, or would you be somebody new? I actually saw a movie that explored that concept where a woman, she came out and she didn't remember who she was, and there was a message for her that allowed her, she could pick to go back to her own life and restore her memories, or she could have a whole new life. What would you do in that situation? If you had an opportunity to just forget everything that ever happened to you, and we give you a new name and form, new passport, new driver's license, you become an entirely different person. You don't remember anything about yourself. Are you that other person? Did the other person die in name and form, and are you somebody new? Think about it. These are things that, you need to think about. So let's get into a discussion about the Kabbalion real quick. And I'm going to start with a reading first and foremost. And we're going to read a little bit first. I like to read. And we're going to start now. The Kabbalion is basically a set of principles. And let me go through those principles real quick with you. These are the principles of the Kabbalion. It says, this is the actual Kabbalion. What we're going to read is an explanation of the Kabbalion. But the lips of wisdom are closed except to the ears of understanding. Where follow the footsteps of the master, the ears of those ready for his teachings open wide. When the ears of the student are ready to hear, then cometh the lips to fill them with wisdom. The principles of truth are 7. He who knows these understandingly possesses the magic key before whose touch all the doors of the temple fly open. The 7 hermetic principles upon which the entire hermetic philosophy is based are as follows: the principle of mentalism, the principle of correspondence, the principle of vibration, the principle of polarity, the principle of rhythm, the principle of cause and effect, and the principle of gender. The all is mind, the universe is mental. As above, so below, as below, so above. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half-truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for a law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. Mind, as well as metals and elements, may be transmuted from state to state, degree to degree, condition to condition, pole to pole, vibration to vibration. The true hermetic transmutation is a mental art. Under and back of the universe of time, space, and change is ever to be found the substantive reality, the fundamental truth. The universe is mental, held in the mind of the all. The all creates in its infinite mind countless universes which exist for eons of time, and yet to the all, the creation, the development, the decline and death of 1,000,000 universes is as the time of the twinkling of an eye. The infinite mind of the all is the womb of the universe. Within the father, mother mind, mortal children are at home. There is not one who is fatherless nor motherless in the universe. The half-wise, recognizing the comparative unreality of the universe, imagine that they may defy its laws. Such are vain and presumptuous fools, and they are broken against the rocks and torn asunder by the elements by reason of their folly. The truly wise, knowing the nature of the universe, use law against laws, the higher against the lower, and by the art of alchemy, transmute that which is undesirable into that which is worthy, and thus triumph. Mastery consists not in abnormal dreams, visions, and fantastic imaginings or living, but in using the higher forces against the lower, escaping the pains of the lower planes by vibrating on the higher. Transmuting, not by presumptuous denial, is the weapon of the master. Transmutation, not presumptuous denial, is the weapon of the master. While all is in the all, it is equally true that the all is in all. To him who truly understands this truth have come great knowledge. As below, as above, so below. As below, so above. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half-truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifest in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. And now you can say that you've gone through the maxims, the universal maxims. And this is very, very interesting because all of these things you need to know are basic principles if you want to manifest things. These are basic principles if you want to improve your character. These are basic principles that if you want to empower yourself, if you want to become a God. These are the foundational principles also that reconcile all the differences in the different religions. It's called the master key. And the reason it's called the master key is because you have all these religions all over the planet, but they all will agree that there is one God. There has to be one God, because if there were multiple gods, that would lead to chaos in the universe, because we'd have different people that would be manipulating creation and so forth with different ideas of what creation should be. So all agree that there is one source of everything in the universe. All right? And we have to all agree on this point. Now, many people argue about what that is. Many people have anthropomorphized this source and made him into a man because they feel like God is just like them. We're made in the image of God. Others, like deists, don't believe in that. They believe there's a universal force that is pervasive throughout the entire universe. Some people might call it the ethers and so forth. And some people will call it the universal mind. All will agree that it seems to be intelligent and it seems to respond to man. Some would say that man in himself is the God, and that we just forgot who we are, and that we've always existed, and that we're a portion of God, like a teaspoon taken out of the ocean. The ocean is the God, and we're a teaspoon taken out of it. Same in quality, but different in degree. We got a lot of different concepts that we can explore, talking about God. But I'm not going to get into your concept of God or what you really believe and are attacking anyone's faith or anything like that. What I hopefully will accomplish today is by giving you some of these principles, you will take them and then start to examine your particular beliefs with another eye, okay, with another eye. You'll start to look and see that you'll start to, instead of exploring the differences in the religion that separate all of you, you will start to look at the similarities that are in the religion and then come into an understanding that the differences in all of the religions are something that are man-made, that are the product of some man who has postured himself as intelligent and understanding these concepts and anything. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. I read a lot of these so-called scholars' interpretation of religion, and it's just ridiculous and it's laughable. Also, like when they come over and they start trying to explain what Egypt is and things of that nature, it's just ridiculous. Some of these people who have put themselves together as a scholar is just ridiculous. The concepts is childish, and I can only think that it is intentional in that some people are trying to keep you in a box to keep you powerless. If we're going to explore our power, you got to come into an understanding to know who you are. And you're going to have to grow in your understanding of your religious beliefs. If you just go to church every Sunday and, you just listen to a pastor read one verse out of there and then give you a motivational speech is what it basically church is today. It's like a whole bunch of motivational speakers and you're not really learning anything. So thus you're not really growing. And then you just live your entire life just going to church on Sunday and think you're doing something toward some sort of progression toward obtaining everlasting life. And now you begin to see yourself as the good person, and then you're living self-righteously and thinking that all these other people are the bad people. Like right here, how strong is your intellectual prowess? Does your intellectual prowess allow discomfort? This is the road to cognitive dissonance. No, I don't. I think the road to discomfort is the road to growth. It's not cognitive dissonance, because you have to take yourself out of your comfort zone to grow. I don't. That sounded like an intelligent statement, but no, it didn't. It wasn't really. I didn't see what you're saying right there. But anyway, let's get into this. The all. We're going to read something about the all now. Okay. because this concept of the all is something that you got to understand, because this is what's going to empower you. You got to understand that God, or what you call God, is everywhere. There is no place. A lot of you have taken God and put him in his creation. You say God created everything, and then you put him in a place called heaven, in a certain locale. You raise your hands up to God as if God is up there somewhere, when this is a spinning mud ball in outer space, as there's really no up or down in outer space, but he's out there somewhere, that you've been given. That's these concepts and everything. So I'm going to try to deal with this concept and try to get you into an understanding of that you are not a victim, that you have power, that you can have anything that you desire. And as well as a lot of the patriarchs that came to give you a message, this is the message that they were attempting to give you as well. But due to translations and transliterations from individuals who either didn't understand or had some sort of objective to keep you in the dark, you've been led down a road that has taken you off the path. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. So this is a document called the Kabbalion. And it's something that the reasoning man, I want to talk about your ability to reason. I'm appealing to your ability to reason. I'm not appealing to your emotions. I want you to put down your emotions and how you feel about your religion for just a second. I want you to reason things out. I want you to think about if God is all-knowing, all-powerful, and all-present, the all in all. He's all-knowing, all-powerful, and all-present. If God is all-knowing, does he need to test you? People that say that, well, God needs to test you. Because it says in Deuteronomy, God tests you to see what's in your heart. Really? I thought he's all-knowing. If this is God in the garden, why is he asking Adam and Eve, where are you? Who told you that? What have you done? Have you eaten what I told you not to eat? Why is God doing that? Why is God jealous if he's all-knowing? You understand what I'm saying? People will make excuses for that and say God is testing you to make you realize who you are. But really, doesn't he already know? Doesn't God already know whether when he created you, whether you're going to go to heaven or hell? Didn't he already know that? Didn't he create you and say, okay, I'm going to create this person, he's going to go to hell, and I'm going to create this person over here, he's going to go to heaven. If God created you and didn't know the end result, would that negate that God is all-knowing? I'm just saying. But they don't want to address these. They're going to explain this away. So we're going to put childish things away, and we're going to try to look with things that make reason. This is the reasoning man. All right, so let's look at this real quick. Let's look at it. So the name of this chapter, this is coming out of the Kabbalion. This is the Egyptian Kabbalion. It's called the All. And the all, I want you to think about God. This is the term they use for God, because omni means all. We say omnipotent, we're saying all powerful. When we're saying omniscient, we're saying all knowing. Okay? So we're saying the all. So God is the all. So under and the back of the universe of time, space, and change is ever to be found the substantial reality, the fundamental truth, the all. God is the truth with the capital T, the fundamental truth. The fundamental truth of everything has to be something, there has to be a source of something. And you will find this in all religions, that they make some sort of reference in their own kind of way of God being the changeless truth, the law. All these are different terms for calling God the substantive reality, something, the only thing that is real. The only thing that can be real is something that doesn't change. I want y'all to put that concept in your mind. The only thing that can be real is something that doesn't change. All right, so let's get into it. Substance means that which underlies all outward manifestations, the essence, the essential reality, the thing in itself, etc. Substantial means actually existing, being the essential element, being real, etc. Reality means the state of being real, true, enduring, valid, fixed, permanent, actual, etc. That's reality. I want you to concentrate on valid, fixed, permanent. Something can only be real if it's permanent. That's why they have real estate. Real estate is something that's fixed, it's permanent. Okay, it's right there, it doesn't move. All right. So let's keep going. It says, under behind all outward appearances or manifestations, there must always be a substantive reality. That's a very significant sentence. Under all outward manifestations. In other words, there's something behind the manifestation. It's a vibrational frequency, but what's at the source of it? What's at the source? What of all these things in creation, what is it emitting from? Okay, when we look at the physical plane is the plane of effects. What is the cause behind everything that we see in outward manifestation? And it's in a constant state of flux. It's constantly changing. There has to be something stable that underlies everything, something that they call the substantive reality, the substantial reality. This is the law. Notice they wrote law with a capital L. Man, considering the universe of which he is a unit, sees nothing but change in matter, forces, and mental states. He sees that nothing really is, but everything is becoming and changing. Nothing stands still. Everything is being born, growing, dying. The very instant a thing reaches its height, it begins to decline. The law of rhythm is in constant operation. There is no reality, enduring quality, fixity, or substantiality in anything. Nothing is permanent but change. Change is the only thing that doesn't change. He sees all things evolving from other things and resolving into other things. A constant action and reaction, inflow and outflow, building up and tearing down, creation and destruction, birth, growth, and death. Nothing endures but change. And if he be a thinking man, he realizes that all these changing things must be outward appearances or manifestations of some underlying power, some substantial reality. All thinkers in all lands and in all times have assumed the necessity for postulating the existence of this substantial reality. All philosophies worthy of the name have been based upon this thought. Men have given to this substantial reality many names, and some have called it by the term of deity under many titles. Others have called it the infinite and eternal energy. Others have tried to call it matter. But all have acknowledged its existence. It is self-evident. It needs no argument. So right now, something that the reasoning man, we can all agree, even the agnostics and the atheists will agree that there's some sort of reality, something sort of substantial reality, all right, some sort of outward manifestation. We may have some differences on opinion of the source of it, but we can agree that existence is real. It is here. In these lessons, we have followed the examples of some of the world's greatest thinkers, both ancient and modern. The hermetic masters have called this underlying power, this substantial reality, by the hermetic name of the all, which term we consider the most comprehensive of the many terms applied by man to that which transcends names and terms. That's what I use in it, because it transcends names and terms, your conceptualization, okay, the all. I love this. I love this term, the all. I want you to think about it for a second. We accept and teach the view of the great hermetic thinkers of all times, as well as those illumined souls who have reached higher planes of being, both of whom assert that the inner nature of the all is unknowable. This must be so, for naught but the all itself can comprehend its own nature and being. The hermeticists believe and teach, and man will argue this point, as that they know God and you don't. This is what is so crazy about people who are self-righteous. We have a lot of self-righteous individuals in the world who think that they have more knowledge than anybody else, or they have a closer relationship with God than you do. Or they can come and start, God spoke to them and he doesn't speak to you, or in something like that. This is the kind of world we live in today. We have self-righteous people that think that they have some sort of a hold on truth that nobody else has. I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, all these different religion, dogma is going to be the reason for the end of the world. People arguing over a belief that they cannot quantify or they can't even prove. Let's keep going. They regard all the theories, guesses, and speculations of the theologians and metaphysicians regarding the inner nature of the all as but the childish efforts of mortal minds to grasp the secret of the infinite. Such efforts have always failed and will always fail from the very nature of the task. One pursuing such inquiries travels around and around in the labyrinth of thought until he is lost to all sane reasoning, action, or conduct, and is utterly unfitted for the work of life. He is like the squirrel which frantically runs around and around the circling treadmill wheel of his cage, traveling ever and yet reaching nowhere, at the end a prisoner still and standing just where he started. And these all you people, this is a message for all you people think you know God. You got some people out there have the audacity, the unmitigated gall to stand there and talk about, I know Christianity is right. God is blah, blah, blah. I know it. All that other stuff is pagan religions and so forth. You sound like you're a child. You don't know. You only know what some book gave you. Somebody gave you a book. Somebody gave you your concept. And you haven't even reached out. You haven't even grown intellectually to grow outside the bounds of what somebody gave you. You don't even have independent thought. We're sitting here. We're trying to free your mind, as Morpheus said in The Matrix. I'm attempting to free your mind. And still more presumptuous are those who attempt to ascribe to the all the personality, qualities, properties, characteristics, and attributes of themselves, ascribing to the all the human emotions, feelings, and characteristics, even down to the pettiest qualities of mankind, such as jealousy, susceptibility to flattery and praise, desire for offerings and worship, and all the other survivals from the days of the childhood of the race. Such ideas are not worthy of grown men and women and are rapidly being discarded, and they are. I got to put on camera on me, real thinking. You sitting here, this is childish. This is primitive type behavior. It's primitive thinking. You're trying to give anthropomorphic qualities to God. You want to make God in your image and after your likeness. This is the reason y'all don't believe in extraterrestrials. Because if another race came from another planet and didn't look anything like you, but they were an older race that had been here millions of years, you'd have to give an explanation for that. When did God create them? And did God create them in his image and after his likeness? This is why you can babbles the mind and you cannot accept the fact that there are life on other planets. You have to deny the fact that there are life on other planets and that man is in the universe all alone. This is the reasoning of a child. You have an infinite, boundless universe and trillions of galaxies and all that space out there in the universe, you here by yourself. You can't even travel 1 light year. To travel 1 light year, you don't even have the ability to do that. And you made a conclusion that you are the only species in the universe. I can't even roll with that. That's not even logical. It's not a logical thinking man can't even subscribe to that type of thinking. That's almost like saying, where did the dinosaurs come from? Some of you out there say, well, the dinosaurs, that's some big conspiracy theory because the Bible don't talk about them. You also think it's a big conspiracy theory that the earth is only 6,000 years old, even though you got redwoods in California, got 80,000 rings in it. And for every year of a tree's life, it grows a ring. This is you don't have good reasoning skills. This is what is lacking today. You don't have good reasoning. You don't have good reasoning skills. It's childish. They want to make God in their image and after their likeness. All because of a story that's only about 6,000 years old, that there are other older documents written in cuneiform and hieroglyphics that give a different explanation of creation. And then you can also already see where they derive those stories from. You know, Abraham came out of Ur Chaldea, which means the abode of demons, or out of the fire, which is Samaria or Mesopotamia, the land between the two rivers, Babylon, doorway to El. I want you to think about that. Let's go. Let's continue. These ideas are not I got to repeat this. Such ideas are not worthy of grown men and women and are rapidly being discarded. At this point, it may be proper for me to state that we make a distinction between religion and theology, between philosophy and metaphysics. Religion, to us, means the intuitional realization of the existence of the all and one's relation to it. while theology means the attempts of men to ascribe personality, qualities, and characteristics to it. Their theories regarding its affairs, will, desires, plans, and designs, and their assumption of the office of middlemen between the all and the people. And this is really interesting. You got people out here who actually think they the middleman. This is what's ridiculous to me, that you got people out here that really think that they got some sort of connection with God that you don't have, that they special in some kind of way. They really think this. There are people out there that think this. You ain't special. There's nothing different about you. You're not special. There are some of us who have innate abilities and we realize those abilities, but we all share the same potentiality. We all have the same potential within us. Some of us realize that potential and some of us don't. But there's nothing special about you. You don't have any connection to God that nobody else doesn't have. So let's get rid of that first and foremost. Who made this office of middleman, like the Pope? He's the middleman between you and God. Who did this? This is a control mechanism. Where'd it come from? I'm just kind of interested in it. Where'd it come from? This concept that there's a middleman, that, I'm going to talk to God for you. I'm going to pray for you, brother. Why don't God just talk to me? Why can't God just have a voice come out of the, if God just really, why don't he just say, Yusef, I'm right here, man. Look, I really exist, okay? I'm just talking to you right now real shortly and just letting you know, all right, you don't have to disbelieve anything. I'm right here, okay? Now that you know, wouldn't that make you automatically, if God spoke to you like it was spoken, like he used to speak to people, like he spoke to Moses on the mount and everything, would that automatically make you just change your life? Wouldn't if you were like a person that was cheating on his wife and God just really spoke to you, wouldn't you just straighten up your life just immediately? Wouldn't that do it? If God just really spoke to you, if he just really spoke to you, And does God speak to you like in, you get above God, my father, God, he said that God said, blah, 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 blah. Where does this come from? Speaking in tongues, which it doesn't say that in the Bible. It says speaking with other tongues. Where does all this come from? Where does it come from? Where does it come from? All right, let's keep going. We got to explain. We are reasoning people. This is a channel for the intellect. Okay. We're going to cast off our childish beliefs and we're going to start reasoning things through. You're going to forget what you were told. And you're going to sit down and you're going to think about it. You're going to also address those questions that you had in your mind. I know when I was a little boy, I had a question about things. I was like, in the Bible, I was like, where did the snake lie? God does know that in the day that you eat thereof, your eyes shall be open and you shall be as Elohim, knowing good and evil. And then in Genesis 3:22, he said, look, the man has become as one of us. Now let's cast him out of the garden and before he take from the tree of life and live forever. I thought we already was supposed to live forever and that death was introduced by Eve in eating the apple. But we got kicked. But there was some tree we had to access in order to live forever that the Jews call the Kabbalah. Interesting, but the Kabbalistic tree. But we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. So let's keep going. So we made this distinction between religion and theology. Philosophy to us means the inquiry after knowledge of things knowable and thinkable, while metaphysical means the attempt to carry the inquiry over and beyond the boundaries and into regions unknowable and unthinkable, and with the same tendency as that of theology. And consequently, both religion and philosophy mean to us things having roots in reality, while theology and metaphysics seem like broken reeds rooted in the quicksands of ignorance and affording naught but the most insecure support for the mind or soul of man. We do not insist upon our students accepting these definitions. We mention them merely to show our position. At any rate, we shall hear very little about theology and metaphysics in these lessons. So this is not a metaphysical inquiry or about theology, about your concept of God. We're not going to get into your concept of God. We're going to try to deal with the substantive reality. We're going to try to deal with things that are observable, because the existence of God is proved by your observation of nature, which is why everything that they're doing in the system is to take you away from it. Taking you away from They're taking you away from natural foods. They're taking you away from y'all interacting with each other. You're staying in the house. Your kids don't go outside and play anymore. They do everything on Xbox or PlayStation and talk to each other over headphones and so forth. You got artificial persons. Y'all got artificial remedies for your diseases and so forth. You don't go into the earth and look for something that will reverse the polarity of whatever ailment you already have. You look for some man to do that for you in the form of a vaccination or something like that. Everything about you is something artificial. They're bringing you the metaverse, where y'all going to be completely immersed in a computer world. They taking you away from God. They're taking you away from the all. They're taking you out of, your connection. They're trying to lose your connection and take your mind. To take possession of your mind and be in control, because they will be the God. I want you to write this down. He who controls the paradigm is God. He who controls your concepts of God is God. Who gave you your concept of God is your God. Do you understand that? Do you understand that he who controls your thinking is your God? Do you understand that the limitations that you have were put on you by someone else, and they are thus making you a servant to them, they are your God? I want you to sit down and meditate on that. Let that marinate for a while. Let's keep going. But while the essential nature of the all is unknowable, there are certain truths connected with its existence which the human mind finds itself compelled to accept. Now, we're about to get into some interesting discussion, because you don't know the nature of God, even though it's a vain and presumptuous fool that will attempt to explain to you the nature of God. But people will do it all the time. They'll go into war about it and they'll kill each other over it. Something that they can't prove. The only thing that you can show is the existence of manifestation, a Jehovah's Witness told me, I'm blessed. I'm like, well, Hindus are blessed. Muslims are blessed. Catholics are blessed. Jews are blessed. I'm blessed. That's a lot of people in different, just because your religious persuasion and you blessed, that doesn't prove anything about the truth of your religion just because you were blessed. There's people blessed all over the world with different religions. And then we got somebody saying no one is God. We are fractals of the universal consciousness. You don't understand what you really, that's a contradiction what you just said, because you're a fractal of universal consciousness. You are God. You're a portion of that. You're like the teaspoon, like they said in Zen. You're a teaspoon out of the ocean of God, same in quality, but different in degree. So what you just said, Elaine, Maria, is really, it contradicts itself. Talking about new age bullshit is aloof. Now, what's bullshit is your primitive thinking that you got, because you sitting here making a statement and don't even understand the own statement you just made. If you want to call in and challenge me, I'll challenge me, because your type of thinking right there, you primitive, baby. You won't even be able to handle on something like this. And you need to sit down and be quiet, because in your religion, it tells that women need to shut up and they need to talk to their husband when they're at home. So don't get me started, especially all you women out here trying to be preachers and things like that, because I could go into your religion and put some fire under your ass. So come over here disrespecting my platform, because I know your religion backward and forward. And I can point out every ridiculous verse that's in it. Talking about new age bullshit. This is not new age. We reading something. This is thousands of years old. It predates the Bible. I don't even understand where y'all get this term new age. What do you mean new age? Ain't nothing new about this. Let me just show y'all something real quick. This is when you see evidence of things like right here. Right here, you see this? You got to go and study. This is over 4,000 years old. It says, wisdom has built her house. She has hewn out her 7 pillars. What 7 pillars are they referring to? What is wisdom? Why is she called a she? This is their way of saying Mother Nature, by the way. You have a Father God and a Mother Nature. We have a gender, which we just discussed, the masculine and feminine principles. I get so tired of these people talking about New Age. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Ain't none of this new. You got the new religion. Yo, it's New Age. Yo, Christianity is only 2,000 years old. Islam is 1,400 years old. Judaism is 6,000 years old. That is New Age bullshit. If you just want me to be frank. Stolen. Everything in them books ain't nothing but plagiarized from something older than that. We got something right here called the 7 tablets of creation right now. They talking about New Age. You just ain't studied. Because the only thing you all did your entire life is read what somebody else told you to read. Go and study this right here. I'm going to give you something to start studying. The Enuma Elish, the Babylonian epic of creation. I want you to go do a comparative religious study. I want you to open your Bible, and I want you to see this right here is written in cuneiform, and it predates the Bible by thousands of years. And then I want y'all to come to a conclusion. What New Age bullshit? Who got the New Age bullshit? Y'all don't even know that word God is a German word. Let's get back. Don't get me started. I had to detour for a little while. That right there pisses me off when they say New Age. That New Age is a word that's coined. We're going back to our roots. It ain't no such thing as New Age. That's something that they made up, talking about this is some New Age philosophy. When really, these are the keys when you look in your religion, when you understand the 7 principles, when you understand mentalism, correspondence, cause and effect, rhythm, vibration. When you understand these things, you can look in your religion and see it. God spoke everything into creation. That's a vibrational frequency. That's in all religions. In all religions, the Creator spoke everything into existence. In Islam, it's kun fayakun, be and exist. That's a vibrational frequency. That's making you understand that words are vibrational frequency and are the source of creation. That's why you can speak things into existence. That's why we're sitting there having this discussion today. So you can understand universal principles, and you could put down this bullshit belief that you got in some invisible man walking up in a cloud with sandals and a billy and white robe that he made from lambs. Why has he got on clothes? Ain't clothes made from dead animals and everything? Why he had to take skins from an animal that he created and give it to Adam and Eve? When y'all don't ask simple questions, how did he create everything in 7 days, and on the 4th day he create the sun, moon, and stars? How were you calculating days if the sun was created on the 4th day? So you can go through this Bible and look at the ridiculousness. There's thousands of examples like that. It's childish. Okay, well, I apologize if I didn't see you. I ain't been looking at the chat. I just saw somebody say New Age bullshit, and it set me off because I hear that all the time. I'm like, what do you mean New Age? Ain't nobody talking about something new. There's nothing new under the sun. It's these religions that y'all follow. We can go in to look at Christianity. It's a pagan religion. Y'all took everything from the pagans. Y'all got Christmas and Easter. Easter is the worship of Ashtoreth or Isis. You know, it's just things I'm looking at. Okay, the fertility goddess when it's on the spring solstice. This Christmas is on the winter solstice. You know, you got all these pagan beliefs in your religion, and you're quick to talk about other. It just amazes me. All right, let's continue. Let's get back to this discussion about the essential nature of the all and be unknowable and undefinable. I think we all have to accept the fact that the nature of God, let's just all agree, you don't know. Even when they posed this question to Tahuti, he just stood in silence. One of the greatest minds to ever tread this planet, he couldn't answer that question. Who and what is God? What is the nature of God? How can something come from nothing? Something can't come from nothing. How can something come from nothing? Stop and think. Use your mind. How can something come from nothing? How can something come from no thing? If there's no thing, then how does something come into existence? It would the reasoning man would have to say that something has always existed. And that's when we're going to get into the primordial existence of God. The essence of God is something, but that something is unknowable and undefinable. We give it many names. We give it ether. We give a lot of different names, spirit, different names to it, but it's something. We don't know what it is, but we give a name to it. And then we try to act like we know what it is. But if I ask you the question, what is a spirit and a soul? You can't answer it. You couldn't answer the question, how do you have the ability to think? You can answer the question, create a color that doesn't exist. See, that's always a test to show you the limits of thought. If I tell you to imagine a color that doesn't exist, that tells you the limits of your thought, because you can only think in terms of things that you have experienced. He says something can come from the unseen. The unseen is just that your eyes, which can only see a small portion of the electromagnetic spectrum, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. All right, just like a dog whistle. A dog whistle is an existence, that there are states of existence beyond your perception. Just because you can't perceive it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So when I say how can something come from nothing, that's not answering the question. Because you can't see, touch, hear, taste, and smell it. Just because the corporal senses aren't able to detect its existence doesn't mean that something came from nothing. There is no such thing as no thing. That's my point. There is no such thing as empty space. The universe abhors a vacuum. Even in outer space, the blackness of outer space, there's something taking up space. This is why there is a principle that says you have to give in order to receive. There's no such thing as something for free. Because if you take something, that empty space, things are going to rush in to fill it in. That's why you have to give in order to receive. Everything is about exchange. There's nothing, you can't get nothing without giving something, because there's no empty space. I want you to think about that. These are basic principles that you got to understand just to live life, because a lot of people are walking around with a welfare mindset with some expectation that they have some entitlement right to receive something, and they haven't given anything. So let's continue. But while the essential nature of the all is unknowable, there are certain truths connected with its existence which the human mind finds itself compelled to accept. An examination of these reports from a proper subject of inquiry, particularly as they agree with the reports of the illumined on higher planes, and to this inquiry we now invite you, that which is the fundamental truth, the substantial reality is beyond true naming, but the wise men call it the all. We were given an affirmation that say, I am in the love of the all and all love is in me. I'm a part of the all and the all is a part of me. I'm one with the all and the all is one with me. I can achieve as a part of the all and fail as an individual. I can be all that I wish in the all as long as my wish is to stay in the all. I am never alone. The all is and I am. The all can and I can. The all does and I do. This is an affirmation to make you understand that you are part of the all, that you are not powerless, that the qualities that exist in what you term God exist in you, that there is nothing, anything that you can conceive and believe you can achieve. All you have to be able to do is conceptualize it. You are gods and goddesses. This is what I'm out to prove today, to the chagrin of all of you pastors and preachers and all you people who think I'm some sort of pagan individual or something like that. You're welcome to leave. So it goes on, that which is the fundamental truth, the substantive, substantial reality is beyond true naming, but the wise men call it the all, the Kabbalion. In its essence, the all is unknowable, the Kabbalion. But the report of reason must be hospitably received and treated with respect, the Kabbalion. With the reports of reason. And notice that they talked about those who have come from higher planes. This acknowledges the fact, do you know that there are beings in the universe that are so advanced that they are even beyond what your concept of God, but they are not the all? This is just to show you how limited you are in your thinking. There are beings in the universe that surpass your concept of God, but they are not God. They understand that they are walking the path just like you, and at some point you will be on that level as well. They're your brothers. They're just your older brothers. And they surpass your conceptualization of God. I know they may babble some of your minds, but I've had to plant that seed in your mind to make you think. It goes on. The human reason whose reports we must accept so long as we think at all informs us as follows regarding the all, and that without attempting to remove the veil of the unknowable. Now, this is how we reason out God. I want you to think this is the best description of God that I've ever read. This is the best description. This is based off of facts, of things that we can reason and readily perceive with the five corporal senses. With right knowledge, right wisdom, and right understanding. Number one, the all, God, must be all that really is. There can be nothing existing outside of the all, else the all would not be the all. How could you say the all and then incorporate something that is outside of it? Is it such a stretch to say that the universe is God? That God is some sort of universal mind force that can respond no matter where you are in the universe? Does it compabble the mind to when I say that the universe is boundless? Because everything we know has limits, but the universe doesn't have any limits. It just stretches for eternity. Can your mind grasp that? Something that has no bounds, the boundless universe? The creator of the boundless universe, boundless. There are no boundaries. You said Stevie Wonder creates a color that does not exist. How do you know? How do you describe color? How can a person that's never seen color? One of the greatest things was Helen Keller. Somebody was born blind. But how can somebody born blind give you a conceptualization of red if they've never seen red? How would you know their conceptualization in their mind's eye of what color they're seeing? That doesn't reason well, Charlie. 3. That's demonstrating a lack of reasoning skills. Doesn't sound like right reasoning. All right, doesn't sound like right reasoning. So let's go on again. It says, number 1, the all must be all that really is. There can be nothing existing outside of the all, else the all would not be the all. Number 2, the all must be infinite. For there is nothing else to define, confine, bound, limit, or restrict the all. It must be infinite in time or eternal. It must have always continuously existed, for there is nothing else to have ever created it. And something can never evolve from nothing. And if it had ever not been, even for a moment, it would not be now. It must be continuously exist forever, for there is nothing to destroy it, and it can never not be, even for a moment, because something can never become nothing. It must be infinite in space. It must be everywhere, for there is no place outside the all. It cannot be otherwise than continuous in space, without break, cessation, separation, or interruption, for there is nothing to break, separate, or interrupt its continuity, and nothing with which to fill in the gaps. It must be infinite in power or absolute, for there's nothing to limit, restrict, restrain, confine, disturb, or condition it. It's subject to no other power, for there is no other power. Man, doesn't that sound like your God? The all-knowing, the all-powerful, and the all-present? The all must be immutable or not subject to change. This is an important point, not subject to change. Because what? There is nothing to work change upon it. It says the all must be immutable or not subject to change in its real nature, for there is nothing to work change upon it, nothing into which it could change, nor from which it could have changed. It cannot be added to or nor subtracted from, increased or diminished, nor become greater or lesser in any respect whatsoever. And a lot of you try to do that. Y'all try to make God lesser than himself. Y'all try to make God create everything, the universe, and then put God inside of his creation. The only thing that God cannot do is become less than God. Y'all try to make Jesus God, put him on the cross and killed him. The only thing God cannot do is become less than himself. God can never not become God. Not even for a second. Can y'all sit down and really think about that for a second? I'm appealing to the reasoning man and woman who will take the time to sit down and not give a knee-jerk response to something and think about what I'm saying. Can God, because y'all think God can, God can become less than, so if God becomes less than himself, then that means he can return to himself, then God didn't ever diminish. If he had the power to become less than himself and then become the power to become himself again, then he never lost his power, then he never not at one point not became God. If God become less than himself, then the universe would destroy itself. It's an impossibility. It conbabbles the mind when you sit back and really think about what you're saying. It goes on. Let me read this again. It says the all must be immutable or not subject to change in its real nature, for there's nothing to work change upon it, nothing into which it could change, nor from which it could have changed. It cannot be added to, nor subtracted from, increased or diminished, nor become greater or lesser in any respect whatsoever. It must have always been and must always remain just what it is now, the all. There has never been, is not now, and never will be anything else into which it can change. The all being infinite, absolute, eternal, and unchangeable, it must follow that anything finite, changeable, fleeting, and conditioned cannot be the all. And as there is nothing outside of the all in reality, then any and all such finite things must be as nothing in reality. This is why they say that creation is what's called Maya, or an illusion. You hear people say, well, all manifest creation is an illusion. Well, that's good. That's an illusion. That means that you can condition it and change it to your will. I want you to think about this for a second. Since things are in a constant state of flux, all you have to do is bring yourself in alignment with the laws, and then you can manipulate reality and form things the way you want them to form, because they're malleable. All of manifest creation is malleable. It's like clay. You can form it the way that you want to. And the thing that forms it is the mind, the first principle. The universe is mental. This is why you have to understand these principles, because these are the foundational principles for making you into a superior being and doing what they term this law of attraction. This is what all these principles, the law of attraction, is based off of. These are the principles you have to understand in order to manifest things. You got to understand the true nature of things. All is subject to the mind. Everything in creation is subject to the mind. You have the power over all things. You just don't believe it. Somebody's making you not believe it. The only way to defeat a God is to make him believe that he's not a God. Let me read this again. The all being infinite, absolute, eternal, and unchangeable, it must follow that anything finite, changeable, fleeting, and conditioned cannot be the all. And as there is nothing outside of the all in reality, then any and all such finite things must be as nothing in reality. Now, do not become befogged nor frightened. We're not trying to lead you into Christian Science field under the cover of hermetic philosophy. There is a reconciliation of this apparently contradictory state of affairs. Be patient. We'll reach it in time. We see around us that which is called matter, which forms the physical foundation for all forms. Is the all merely matter? Not at all. Matter cannot manifest life or mind, and as life and mind are manifest in the universe, the all cannot be matter, for nothing rises higher than its own source. Nothing is ever manifested in an effect that is not in the cause. Nothing is evolved as a consequence that is not involved in an antecedent. This is the thing we're talking about you. When we're looking at you as a creation, you have the ability to think. You have this mind. This is how you're in the image and likeness of God. It stands to reason the creation can never be greater than the creator. So if you have the ability to think and act and do the things, then this source must have these same abilities, and it must be greater than yours. If you share, it says, even in the Bible, it says God blew into man his spirit and you became a living soul. Okay, well, if God blew his spirit into me, then I share the same qualities as God. I should be able to do the same thing. If I got a portion of God's spirit in me, then I am God. I can do the same things he can do. And this is what Jesus was saying in the Bible. He said, the things I do, you can do greater and even more. I didn't go off on a lady making a mistake. She said she don't like this new age bullshit. I went exactly on that phrase, new age bullshit. That's what I attacked. I didn't make a mistake at all. I attack when I see that new age bullshit. You said new age bullshit. I'm going to attack that because this ain't new age nothing. I don't even know where y'all got that phrase from. This is ancient teachings. These are ancient teachings, been around for ages, eons of time. That your religion is based off of. Your religion derived itself from this. This is the source of your religion. All these religious beliefs you have all over the planet. This is the source of that. That's why it's called the key, the master key to reconcile the differences in the religion, because all y'all done spread out all over the planet. And now y'all got all these various beliefs, Islam, Christianity, all these different things. And then y'all all will claim that there's one God, there's one law. And then y'all got these different beliefs and y'all all fighting amongst each other like children and have the audacity, mitigated gall to say this is new age bullshit. You look like children. What do you mean explain something? If you don't understand it, rewind the tape. I think I'm doing a very good job of explaining it. I like that, right? We need to understand there is no superhuman. Being human is super. I like that. That might go above some people's head saying that, but there's truth in that statement. There's truth in that statement. Let's go on. It says, let's continue. Right here, this paragraph is something we really got to understand, that nothing can rise above itself. There can be nothing in the creation that's not in the creator. And the creation can never rise above the creator. That's why the computer cannot be greater than the mind. The computer, they say supercomputer, a computer can never be greater than the mind. A computer is an imitation of the mind. It is the product of the mind. It is a man's attempt to emulate something that the creator of the boundless universe created. And we're only using a small portion of our mind. They say we're only using 10%. Even with quantum computing. It's impossible. The creation can never surpass the creator. So it goes on. It says, this is the all mere, says, then is the all mere energy or force? Are we talking about energy? Not energy or force as the materialistic use the terms, for their energy and force are blind, mechanical things devoid of life or mind. Life and mind can never evolve from blind energy or force for the reason given a moment ago. Nothing can rise higher than its source. Nothing is evolved unless it is involved. Nothing manifests in the effect unless it is in the cause. And so the all cannot be mere energy or force, for if it were, there would be no such thing as life and mind. And this is the thing we want to think about. Where does life come from? You know, and this I want you to think about this. People who kill people, you know, you got to really think about that. You took a life that you didn't create. You have no way of giving life. What makes you think you can take it? That is one of, if you want to put a stain on your soul, take a life. Think about that. You have no way of creating life. I mean, just when I mean creating life, I'm not talking about through having the act of sex. I'm talking about you just manifesting life out of nothing. You don't have that ability. You can't bring somebody back. You know, you don't have that ability to do these things. So what right do you have to take a life and you didn't give life? This is something all they can do is clone and take things. They can take things that have already existed, DNA and biological material that is provided to you by the source, and maybe clone and do things like that. But they have no way of creating something out of nothing. There has to already be something there for them to work from. Nothing can rise higher than its source. Nothing is evolved unless it is involved. Nothing manifests in the effect unless it is in the cause. And so the all cannot be mere energy or force, for if it were, then there would be no such thing as life and mind in existence. And we know better than that, for we are all alive and using mind to consider this very question. And so are those who claim that energy and force is everything. They say energy is everything, but, you know, is energy life and mind? You know, life is a real, if you have to step back, it's a miracle that you are alive right now, thinking and sitting at a computer right now, listening to me and being able to contemplate and reason and things and agree or disagree with me. You know, you got this ability. Isn't it such a wonderful gift to be alive? How could you deny anybody that by aborting babies? How could you deny somebody that right? You have to think about that. How can you deny somebody who's coming into this material plane the right to experience this life? You got to be a cold motherfucker. Selfish. What is there then higher than matter or energy that we know to be existent in the universe? Life and mind. Life and mind in all their varying degrees are unfoldment. Life and mind in their varying degrees of unfoldment. Then you ask, do you mean to tell us that the all is life and mind? Yes and no is our answer. If you mean life and mind as we poor petty mortals know them, we say no, the all is not that. But what kind of life and mind do you mean, you ask? The answer is living mind. As far above that which mortals know by those words, as life and mind are higher than mechanical forces or matter, infinite living mind, as compared to finite life and mind, we mean that which the illumined souls means when they reverently pronounce the word spirit. The all is infinite living mind. The illumined call it spirit. Holy Spirit. Still, it's inconceivable and unknowable and undefinable. We try to give terms and names to it, but it's something that is alive. It is something that responds to you. It's kind of like what, you know, I like this definition that the Christian scientist Wallace Wattles gave. Let me look at this right here. This I want y'all to think about this for a second. This is Wallace Wattles, and he has a book called The Science of Getting Rich. And after we've read this and talking about the all, I want you to do some kind of comparative religious study. And I want you now, after we had that discussion, I want you to read this in The Science of Getting Rich. Because Christian scientists, there are Christian scientists who are very knowledgeable. There are Sufis that are very knowledgeable. I've read some Sufi material that, hey, God got it. There's some Sufis that are badass. Badass. I done read some Sufi material that's bad. So right here, we got the document, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles. And I want to get into this part where he talks about he has his own type of principles that he talks about. The first principle of getting rich. Now, I want you to think, now the first principle in the Kabbalion is thought, all right, or mind. Let's look and see what this man says, all right? The first principle in the science of getting rich. Thought is the only power which can produce tangible riches from the formless substance. It's called formless substance. There's something there, but it hasn't taken form yet. It's not nothing, all right, because something can never come from nothing. But there is some sort of substance. Well, we don't know what to call it. Some people call it spirit or something, but all we do know is malleable, that it responds to thought. The stuff from which all things are made is a substance which thinks, and a thought of form in that substance produces the form. So it's this substance that responds to thought, and this is the pattern for manifestation, because whatever thought we put into the substance, it comes down just like a solid, liquid, and gas. Water follows the same principle. You have water that's invisible. You pull it into the air, it becomes liquid, and then it becomes ice. It becomes hard. Well, thoughts go through the same three stages, through the mental and spiritual planes. It's invisible, then it comes a liquid, and then it becomes solid. Okay, it's that same process that you bring things into manifestation. Okay, that's why they call the physical plane the plane of effects. The causal plane is the mental plane. Everything begins with a thought. Everything begins with a thought. So when you're thinking about your remedies and things like this, the reason a lot of times things don't work for you because you don't got your mind right. You doubting yourself. The double-minded man can hope to receive nothing from the law. It goes on. Original substance moves according to its thoughts. Every form and process you see in nature is the visible expression of a thought in original substance. As the formless stuff thinks of a form, it takes that form. As it thinks of a motion, it takes that motion. That is the way all things were created. We live in a thought world, which is part of a thought universe. The thought of a moving universe extended throughout formless substance, and the thinking stuff moving according to that thought took the form of systems of planets and mountains that form. Thinking substance takes the form of its thought and moves according to the thought. Holding the idea of a circling system of suns and worlds, it takes the form of those bodies and moves them as it thinks. Now, the key there is holding, because on the physical plane, it's subject to time and space. It takes time. You have to be able to hold the thought. This is why they tell you to pray every day. This is the origin of pray. If you want to pray for something, you got to repeatedly do it all the time. This is why you Muslims, y'all pray 5 times a day. Originally, it was 7 times a day. All right, this is the discipline. Religion, which means the religare, which means to time back, is supposed to be a discipline for you to discipline your mind. Okay, before you go to bed at night, before you go into the superconscious, you need to think about what it is that you want, and you carry it into the subconscious mind, and the answers will come to you in the morning when you wake up. You have to have a ritual, because it requires repetition. It requires the ability to hold that thought. This is another reason why they tell you to write down your goals. How are you going to reach your goals if you keep forgetting what they are? Let's go on. Thinking the form of a slow-growing oak tree, it moves accordingly and produces the tree through centuries. Those centuries may be required to do the work. And creating the formless seems to move according to the lines of motion it has established. The thought of an oak tree does not cause the instant formation of a full-grown tree, but it does start in motion the forces which will produce the tree along established lines of growth. This is important, along established lines of growth. This is cause and effect. This is the law of allowance. You cannot control how something will manifest itself. You have to allow it to manifest itself according to established lines of growth. When you want something, you want that Mercedes Benz, you don't know how it's going to happen. You may need to meet somebody coming from New York or something to come in and give you an idea to start your business. You may need to walk into a grocery store and just sign a lottery ticket or something like that and win the lottery. I don't know what it is. We don't know. All you're going to do is you're going to make the request. It's going to be asked and it shall be given to you. Okay, you don't have the necessary wisdom, the foresight to see all the ways that something could possibly manifest for you. That is why it is a waste of time to be concentrating on the how. The how is a waste of time. You need to concentrate on the what. What is it you want? And if you talk to anybody who is unsuccessful and pose that question to them and they say, I don't know, then they are right in the place. You will see them in that same place for the rest of their life. Nothing will respond to you till you know what you want. Mark Pazio don't have the goods on natural law. Mark Pazio took all this from the Kabbalion too. I get tired of y'all keep talking about him. Mark Pazio, like he took the Kabbalion, man. He did the same thing. Just got a hold of the Kabbalion and made some slides on it. Get out of here with that. I'm not impressed. Let's go on. Every thought of form held in thinking. So I've been doing this ever since I've been on the Kabbalion ever since I was 20 years old. It's new to y'all. It's not new to me. I've been on it since I was 20 years old. It's been like 30-something years I've been doing this. Every thought of form held in thinking substance causes the creation of the form, but always, or at least generally, along lines of growth and action already established. And when you understand these principles, you can read them and see them in everything. That's why you study the Kabbalion first, then you go and go and read the Kabbalion, then go study Think and Grow Rich. Read the Kabbalion, then go study The Science of Getting Rich. Read the Kabbalion and then go watch The Secret. Read the Kabbalion and listen to what's my girl? She has the people, like they got a being speaking through her and things. Read the Kabbalion, and who was the lady back in the 60s? She was channeling any of the channelers, the real channelers, who were channeling beings and things of that nature. They got a being called the awareness. It's called the awareness. Get on the internet. Let me see if I can Google this for you. They all are saying the same thing. So please don't come and talk to me about somebody got the goods on something. Ain't nobody got a corner the market on this information. I need to stop that. It's been talked about forever. The modern people don't really have an understanding of it the way the ancients do. The awareness. I think it was channeled. Somebody channeling. What is the awareness? And the new internet, they block so much stuff. You might be able to find it. It's called the awareness. A channeler, and it's another lady. I forgot her name. I got to think of her name. I'm gonna think of her name and give it to you. But she was very good at channeling. And old lady. The chick today who's channeling everything, she's real good too. I forgot her name too, but she's real good. But when you listen to these people speak, they are all talking about the same principles. They all using mentalism. They all talking about vibration. They all talking about correspondence, as above, so below. As above, so below is just saying the mental, everything that manifests on the physical plane has to first exist in the mental plane. That's the first exists in the mental plane before it comes into, this is the plane of effects. And so it corresponds. The planes all correspond with each other. And then everything is a vibrational frequency. It's vibrating. So you have to have a frequency. Yeah. And that's why like attracts like. You got to put your mind space in a certain vibrational frequency. You only attract what you are. So you can desire something. You have to be that with what you wish to become. So you have to constantly be training your mind to think in a certain way. And that's why it's necessary for you to surround yourself with positive people. One key aspect of all of this, if you want positive results in your life, you have to immerse yourself in positivity. You cannot succumb to negative thoughts. You cannot succumb to negative people. You have to remove all negativity from your space. Let me get back into this thinking stuff. Right here it says, the thought of a house of a certain construction, if it were impressed upon formless substance, notice this formless substance is what a term in the Kabbalion, the all. I want y'all to bring your attention to how people give different descriptions to it. Some people use God. He doesn't use the word God, even though he's a Christian scientist. He's a scientist. Okay, he's removing himself from this, this spookism. Spookism. They try to denounce science when all science is the study of how God put everything together. It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. If it were impressed upon formless substance, might not cause the instant formation of the house, but would cause the turning of creative energies already working in trade and commerce into such channels as to result in the speedy building of the house. And if it were no existing channels through which the creative energy could work, then the house would be formed directly from the primal substance without waiting for the slow processes of the organic and inorganic world. No thought of form can be impressed upon original substance without causing the creation of the form. You are the creator constantly, whether you're aware of it or not. This is why there's no such thing as victimization or you being a victim. When you think you're a victim, you're nothing but a hamster on a wheel. You keep creating situations in your life, then blaming outside circumstances for those problems, thus recreating additional problems and then responding to those problems. And you end up looking insane because you never come to a realization that you are the source of the problem. Like I said, you can never have the life you want until you accept the responsibility of your divinity, of your power. You have to accept it. Man is a thinking center and can originate thought. All the forms that man fashions with his hands must first exist in his thought. He cannot shape a thing until he has thought that thing. It is amazing to me how I get in discussions with people and they can't grasp that concept. I was talking to somebody today and they was talking about the Orishi and, voodoo and Santeria and things of that nature and the problems in their life and how their spirits plaguing them and things of that nature. And I had to tell them, I say, look, and that they manifest things. I say, well, what do you have to do to manifest something? And they tried as they might. They tried to get around the word, but they couldn't. You have to think of it first. How you going to do anything you don't think of it first? And well, I agree with you, but I did kind of disagree. How you going to disagree with that? How is anything coming? How is this world, everything that you use in these computers that you're listening to, the TVs, the roads, the cars that you drive in, anything came into existence without somebody thinking about it first? Got to get rid of this victimization. There are no victims. There is no victim. There's only ignorance. There's no victim. There's only ignorance. Ignorance of the law. When man has a thought form, he takes material from the forms of nature and makes an image of the form which is in his mind. And that's what you do. You can only arrange things and construct things through your experience, things that you have directly experienced. Your imagination is simply a construct or a piecing together of everything that you've experienced in manifest creation already. To be truly a true creator is a person that can imagine something that hasn't been imagined before, but we all know there's nothing new under the sun. Everything is in the Akashic records. Abraham Hicks. Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of. Abraham Hicks or Esther Hicks. Yeah, Esther Hicks is bad, man. She's bad at what she does. She's bad. I got to give it to her. Bad. Man reshapes and modifies existing forms of manual labor. He has given no attention to the question whether he may not produce things from formless substance by communicating his thoughts to it. We propose to prove that he may do so, to prove that any man or woman may do so, and to show how. As our first step, we must lay down three fundamental propositions. First, we must assert that there is one original formless substance or substance or stuff, or formless stuff. First, we must assert that there is one original formless stuff or substance from which all things are made. This is what we're talking about, the original substantive reality. All things are derived from it. There is no nothingness. There is a somethingness. We don't know what it is, but it hasn't formed in anything. But it's something that exists. Some people call it spirit. But everything out of manifest creation, we all know that vibrational frequencies, everything in existence is a composition of atoms, protons, neutrons, and electrons, vibrating at different frequencies, creating the different textures and things and colors and things that we see. But at their foundational substance, the substantial foundation of them, they all are the same. Everything that you're looking at is exactly the same stuff. Everything breaks down into atoms, protons, electrons, neutrons, everything. It's all the same stuff. Can we agree on that? And this stuff is thinking stuff. As a thought held in it produces the form of the thought. Thought in thinking substance produces shapes. Man is a thinking center capable of original thought. If man can communicate his thoughts to original thinking substance, he can cause the creation or formation of the thing he thinks about. To summarize this, there is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the inner spaces of the universe. And as he goes on through this book, he will keep adding to it, adding to it. There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the inner spaces of the universe. A thought in this substance produces a thing that is imagined by the thought. Man can form things in his thought, and by impressing his thought upon formless substance, he causes the thing he thinks about to be created. We gonna delve deeper into some of these things, but I kind of wanted to just talk to you today about your concept of God. Even when a book like this right here, I'm sitting here reading this right now. This is Franz Barton, Initiation into Hermetics. And this is a real good book. I've been reading this. It talks about auto-suggestion and the secret of the subconscious. And you might even go, yeah, you know what? They got a PDF on the internet. I'm gonna just explore this a little bit because we're reading the Kabbalion. I want to show you how it's in all things. This is Initiation into Hermetics. It's a PDF of it. And you can see right here about the elements, the principle of fire, the principle of water, the principle of air, the principle of earth, the light, the akasha or the ethereal principle, karma, the law of cause and effect, man, the material plane, the soul of the astral body, the astral plane, the spirit, the mental plane, truth, religion, God, and asceticism. This is a very, very interesting book. And it got a lot of interesting things, and it starts with some foundational principles as well in here. Theory and about the elements, goes into the elements, the principle of fire, principle of water, air, earth, light, the ethereal principle, karma. This is what I like right here. Karma, an immutable law, which has its aspect just as in the Akasha principle, is the law of cause and effect. And that's what I tell people. Karma is just law and effect, cause and effect. When you say karma, that's just another name for cause and effect. For every cause, there's an effect. For every effect, there's a cause. That's why people tell you that you judge yourself. That's why whenever you take an action, you need to be prepared to accept the responsibility for the decisions you make. All right? Because the karmic effect, if you do something to somebody, it's going to redound back on you. That's what the law states. It's cause and effect. So you're going to reap what you sow. It's automatic. It's already built in to the mechanics of the universe. This is why you get away with nothing. This is why it says fear the Lord. This is why I tell you, have respect for the law. And people, they have to kick themselves against the pricks and they keep banging their head against the wall until they accept the fact that I need to change. I need to become an honorable person. I need to do unto others as I would have them to do unto me. I want you, all you people who steal, all you people who cheat on your girl, all you women who cheat on your man, all you people who live a life that's not honorable in some degree, I want you to listen to what I say. You get away with nothing. Once you accept that fact, because a lot of you don't believe that, but you're going to experience it. You don't believe it. That's why you do the things that you do, because you don't believe there's going to be a penalty coming. You don't believe that you'll go to prison. You think you can do fraud and you're not going to get caught. That somebody else, that dumb person over there, he's the dummy for getting caught and going to jail, but that's not you. That's what you believe. You're not the one that's going to get caught. That's not for you. That's for them. You're going to live the rest of your life and not have to pay for your transgressions. You believe that. And that, by definition, is what we call a fool. Consequently, every deed proceeds from a cause or is followed by any result. Therefore, we should not only accept karma as a rule for our good actions, as the Oriental philosophy puts it, but its signification reaches farther and is a very deep one. Instinctively, all men have the feeling that something good can bring good results only. And again, all the evil must end up with evil, or, in the words of a proverb, whatsoever a man sows, that he shall reap. Everybody is bound to know this law and to respect it. This law of cause and effect governs the elemental principles too. I have no intention to enter into details of this law, which should be expressed in a few words, as they are quite clear, so that every reasonable man will understand them. Subject to this law of cause and effect is also the law of evolution or development. This development is an aspect of the karma law. And this is an interesting book. It is called, if you want to get into it, if you want to get into hermetics, the initiation of hermetics, I do recommend this book. It is called Initiation into Hermetics. This is a PDF version. You can just download it. Let me see if I can. Well, just put in the Initiation of Hermetics and put .pdf, and you can just put it into Google. That's all I did right here. I just put Initiation into Hermetics .pdf, and it popped up, and you can download it if you want to read it right now. You don't have to buy the book, but yeah, I would recommend you get the book. There's other volumes also. I have all of them. You know, the practice of magical evocation and the keys to the true Kabbalah, which is real good too. So it's a 3-set volume. There's also a book called for Beto the Magician. If you've ever seen the movie The Illusionist, when you go read for Beto the Magician, you'll see where they got the movie The Illusionist from. If you've ever watched that movie. Yes, they based it off of that. So I'm giving y'all some information. So you'll begin to kind of like do your research and kind of like, you know, come into a broader understanding of all this information. Well, that's it for me today. I just want to drop some jewels on you. And I could keep going and going and going on this subject. I think all of y'all are riding on me. We're gonna talk about it a little bit more. We're gonna get deeper into some of the other principles. We're going to talk about the principle of mentalism. We're going to talk about the principle of correspondence. We're going to expound on vibratory forces. We're going to expound on rhythm and polarity, polarity is a very interesting topic because that gets into the development of your character, you being real with yourself and identifying the defects in your character and understanding that everything has two sides and there's a polar opposite. So if you're impatient, well, the opposite of that is patient. If you are fearful, well, the opposite of that is courage. You need to be truthful to yourself and identify the defects in your character and use a mental alchemical process to transmute that into the corresponding opposite and eliminate those defects in your character. You know, everything is about character development. So you got to understand, in order for you to do that, you got to understand the principles that govern everything in the universe, including thought, including character, including your habits. Because hey, that's just an amalgamation of all your habits, or an aggregation of all the habits that you have that you developed. If you have bad ones, you can root those out. Understanding alchemy. To understand alchemy, you have to understand polarity. You got to study the subject of polarity if you want to understand alchemy, if you want to get into the subject of alchemy. It's polarity. So, this was our God class for the day. And somebody said, what about bad things happening to good people? Well, isn't that, first of all, we have to find out how you define good people and how you define bad things, because in the universe, there is no good and bad. Good and bad are concepts that you have created. I just had something bad happen to me, but is it bad or was it good? Like later on, I could look at it and find out it was good. If that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have had this. Good and bad are concepts. The concepts. That concept you created. You calling the person good, but is he really good? How do you know he's good? What you mean good? You know, that's an opinion that something is good or bad. Good and bad are opinions. I think a more appropriate term for you to use is agreeable and disagreeable. I think things can happen to you that are disagreeable to you, because what's good for you may not be good for me, and what's bad to you may not necessarily be bad to me. This is where we get into this discussion of self-righteousness and why you should never judge. As it says in Matthew 7:1, judge not, lest somebody judge you, because the judgment you mete out will be meted out to you. You're not in a position or possess the necessary wisdom to pass judgment on someone. You don't have knowledge of all things to even do that, even to make a determination of what ultimately is good or evil. Those are religious concepts. But that's another degree that, you know, that person on the low level degrees, and when you say that to them and they're trapped within the bounds of religion, it goes against their sense of, you know, what they believe in. So, you know, it just, you know, they can't grasp that fact. They have to sit down and meditate on what I'm saying. There's only one power in the universe. For you to say there's good and evil, that means there are two powers. There's not two powers, there's only one. There's only one power in the universe, not two. Anyway, it's God class today. Peace to the L's, peace to the gods and goddesses. That's when I say gods and goddesses, I'm talking about the L's out there. Y'all who have wore that badge L. Okay, you're an L, Mike L, and the Dan L's, and the Ezekiel L's, and the Israel L's, and the Raphael's, and the Yusef L's, and the L's. All the angels out there, all the messengers who come to give a message. Peace to the gods. I will see y'all on another stream, on another one. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And replay this, rewind it, meditate on what I'm saying, open up your mind. Don't think, comment, comment, and subscribe. Get the likes up too. Where are the likes at? Where are the likes at? Y'all got the likes at what? 249? How's only 249 likes on there? Y'all should be liking this into no end. All these jewels that were dropped on here. Anyway, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all on the next stream. Peace to the gods. I'm out.